appointed the office of rulers and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of men and women. We beseech you to behold with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have called to the performance of important trusts in these islands. Let your blessing descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of these islands, and of those whose interest you have committed to our charge. And this we beg in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all evermore. Amen. Please be seated. The next item on the agenda is confirmation of minutes. Senator John White.
Madam Acting President, I move that the minutes of the meeting of Wednesday, 17th November 2021 be taken as read.
Is there any objection to that? No, there are no objections. Senator White.
Madam Acting President, I move that the minutes of Wednesday, 17th November 2021 be confirmed.
Is there any objection? No, the minutes are confirmed. Thank you, Senator White. The next item on the agenda is messages.
No messages, Madam President, Madam Acting President, I should say.
Thank you, Mr. Sumner. And item 4 is reports of committees. There are none. Next, we have announcements. I would like to make 2 announcements. First of all, today, Madam President is engaged in a panel interview, which has been ongoing for several days. Therefore, I am serving as acting president. Also, we have apologies from Senator Curtis Richardson. Those are the 2 announcements I have to make. And now we can hear from Senator Uhc Darrell, Junior Minister of Education, who has an announcement.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Acting President. My first announcement is the Bermuda College 2020-2021 report. Madam Acting President, I hereby present for the information of the Senate the annual report of the Bermuda College for the year 1st of April 2020 to March 31st, 2021. Senators may access copies of the report on their tablets and the parliamentary website. My second report, Madam Acting President, is the Bermuda College Financial Statements 2021. Madam Acting President, I hereby present for the information of the Senate the audited financial statements of the Bermuda College for the year ended March 31st, 2021. Senators may access copies of the report on their tablets and on the Parliament website.
Thank you, Senator Darrell. The next item is notices of motion. There are none. Item 7 is petitions. Again, there are none. The next item is statements. We have several statements today, and the first is the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, which will be presented by Senator L.K. Simmons, Junior Minister for Social Development and Seniors. Senator Simmons, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Acting President. Madam Acting President, the International Day of Persons with Disabilities is observed on the 3rd of December and has been promoted by the United Nations since 1992. The observation of the day aims to promote the rights and well-being of persons with disabilities at all levels of society and development. Also, it provides an opportunity to raise awareness of the achievements and challenges persons with disabilities face within every aspect of political, social, economic, and cultural life in our community. Madam Acting President, the UN estimates that approximately 15% of the world's population, which equates to 1 billion people, living with some form of disability. Disability is defined by the UN as a condition or function judged to be significantly impaired relative to the usual standard of an individual of their group. It is often used to refer to individuals functioning, including physical impairments, sensory impairments, cognitive impairments, intellectual impairments, mental illness, and various types of chronic disease. Madam Acting President, under the Human Rights Act 1981, disability is defined as a condition of being a disabled person. The said act defines disabled person to include physical disability, physical reliance, for example, a guided dog, etc., or previously had a mental impairment that has a that has long-term adverse effects on persons' ability to carry out normal day-to-day activities. Madam Acting President, this year's theme is leadership and participation of persons with disabilities toward an inclusive, accessible, and sustainable post-COVID-19 world. With this theme in mind, the Ministry of Social Development and Seniors strives to make the promises made by the government, which impacts persons with disability, a reality. Madam Acting President, the UN highlights the fact that evidence and experience show that when barriers to inclusion are removed and persons with disabilities are empowered to participate fully in societal life, the entire community benefits. Barriers faced by persons with disabilities are therefore a detriment to society as a whole. And inclusion and accessibility are necessary to achieve progress and development for all. Madam Acting President, currently the ministry is in the process of working with the UK to have a UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities extended to Bermuda, to ensure Bermuda is an inclusive society that recognizes and respects persons with disabilities for their ability and not their disability. A formal register of persons with disabilities is being developed. The register aims to assist with data collection to provide projections for support, services, and benefits, which will ultimately assist in improving their quality of life. Also, the register will ensure there is a clarity of the current and future needs of persons with disabilities. Madam Acting President, no person in our society should be left behind or feel ostracized because they have a disability. The government encourages dialogues on all forms of disabilities. This provides a platform to educate all sectors of our community to ensure persons with disabilities are given the dignity they deserve. I believe that more awareness of persons with disabilities ultimately will lead to more understanding and acceptance. Madam Acting President, I would like to highlight some events that will be taking place in the community on Friday, the 3rd of December, in recognition of International Day of People with Disabilities. Aging and disability services will be taken to the streets with the assistance of Media Maya to engage persons in City of Hamilton throughout the community to start the conversation and bring awareness of persons with disabilities. Also, this provides an opportunity to determine if people in our community can identify unseen, invisible disabilities, for example, autism. The Intellectual Disability Team at Mid-Atlantic Wellness Institute, Maui, will be having their second motorcade. It is intended that the motorcade will start at 11 a.m. from Maui. More information will be provided through the media. Residents of Bermuda, I encourage you to show your support by standing along the motorcade route. WinReach, Registered Charity 92, is hosting a one-day free virtual conference on Zoom from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. entitled Common Ground 2021. The theme of the conference is to encourage adversity, encourage advocacy to ensure persons with disabilities are given the right to be heard on issues impacting their lives and across the community. The event will be facilitated and moderated by occupational therapist Elise Frick and Paralympian Jessica Lewis. Madam President, on Saturday, the 4th of December, Special Olympics Bermuda registered charity 978 will be having their first polar plunge at Horseshoe Bay, starting at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. The polar plunge is a fundraising event for the Special Olympics globally. This event has shown increased popularity in other jurisdictions such as the U.S. and Canada. Madam Acting President, I encourage people to show support by attending at least one of these events I have mentioned. In closing, I quote the British neurologist Oliver Sacks. I wish for a world, in this case Bermuda, that views disability, mental or physical, not a hindrance, but as a unique attributes that can be seen as powerful assets if given the right opportunities. Let us come together as a community and provide opportunities for persons with disabilities so we could create a better Bermuda. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Lindsay Simmons. And we'll move on to the second statement, which is update on the Tynes Bay Waste to Energy Facility. And that's being presented by Senator Owen K. Darrell, Junior Minister for Public Works. Senator Darrell?
Good morning again, Madam Acting President. Madam Acting President, today I rise to provide the Senate with an update on the present critical status of the Tynes Bay facility. Madam Acting President, 2 weeks ago, on November 10th, in a press conference, the Acting Minister of Public Works spoke of the critical state of Tynes Bay and the need to invest heavily in the plan for it not to fail. This morning, I will give an update of the ongoing battle that the engineers and technicians at Tynes Bay are waging to get the plant back up and running, and the serious challenges we are all facing in terms of the island's ability to dispose of its waste. Madam Acting President, the Tynes Bay facility is our only means of municipal solid waste disposal, and should the facility fail, it will mean the country reverting back to landfill. Madam Acting President, sadly, I must report that we may very soon be at that point. For the last 2 weeks since the initial report, a crew of specialists, boilermakers from Europe, have been working nonstop to make the repairs to both boiler units at the plant. At the same time, our contingency system, which normally bails trash during these times of outages, also suffered a critical failure. In addition, COVID-19 and supply chain issues in Europe has exacerbated the repair of the baler to the point where our own employees had to skillfully fabricate replacement parts using 3D printing technology to rebuild a hydraulic ram. But sadly, even these efforts to get the system up and running have failed. Madam Acting President, while we do have a replacement ram being air freighted, the timing for its arrival and the space left in the bunker to stockpile the trash that is collected daily are simply at odds. In order to preserve what little space we have, bulky waste material is already being diverted for shredding at the Marsh Folly location for later disposal at Tynes Bay. But even this will not buy us the amount of time that we need. Madam Acting President, with the tentative timeframe to have the boilers back in operation being a few weeks away, we will simply not have room to store any more garbage. As such, the ministry is now preparing for its last resort for waste disposal, and that is the reopening of a portion of Marsh Folly for landfilling. We had hoped to avoid this outcome and have done so far for the last 10 years. But at this point, the options are few. We anticipate needing to landfill for a period of perhaps 1 to 2 weeks while the boiler repairs are completed and the baling system is repaired. Once these alternatives are available, the landfilling will stop. While time is not on our side, we as a government are committed to doing something about it. It was reported 2 weeks ago that we are looking to invest some $7.5 million into the plant to get it to a point of stabilization. Since that time, engineers have now received the actual pricing from the Specialized Waste to Energy Contractor, ICE, AG, out of Switzerland, and for the full scope of works necessary to get the boilers through the next 3 or 4 years. While our original house estimates were close, the true pricing is closer to $8.5 million. The cost may still increase, as much of it is based on cost of steel and other materials, which are changing rapidly due to the global supply chain crisis. Madam Acting President, with the cost of bailing and other associated work such as quality assurance for insurance purposes, crane hire, and other on-island logistics added to this figure, the final total for the project may be closer to $9 to $10 million and will take about 11 weeks for each boiler to be repaired. While this may seem like a lot of money, for comparison, the cost of a full replacement, which is what we really need at this point, is closer to $150 million. And to be clear, the $10 million that we are planning to spend now only addresses the boilers, which are at the heart of the plant and the most vulnerable at this time. But there are still many critical auxiliary systems at Tynes Bay that are obsolete and that can easily shut down the plant if they are not soon replaced. So with life restored to the boilers, time will be of the essence to pursue the full solution of the estimated $150 million investment. I'm pleased to report that the Ministry of Public Works, in conjunction with the Ministry of Finance, are meeting urgently to find creative financing solutions for such a large sum on our present financial state. Madam Acting President, as mentioned, with the effects of the pandemic on the supply chain and even getting people mobilized, these costs cannot be cast in stone, and we are constantly balancing the risk of getting support here as quickly as possible while also providing COVID safety. With the support of our specialist contractor, we are aiming to execute the works in February of next year, leaving little time to even prepare. But the contractors and the ministry are committed to getting the work done as soon as possible. I will endeavor to continue to update on this critical work as it transpires. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Owen K. Darrell. The next statement is COVID-19 update in schools, also presented by Senator Owen Darrell, who is the Junior Minister for Education. Senator Darrell?
Thank you, Madam Acting President. Madam Acting President, I rise this morning in the Senate to provide an update on the ongoing impact of COVID-19 in our schools and the preventative measures that have been put in place in both our public and private schools to keep our children safe. Madam Acting President, you recall that the Premier had shared with us repeatedly, and this morning I will say it again, the coronavirus is with us and will continue to be with us for some time. We must all accept and make adjustments for what has become our new normal. In our public and private schools, this has meant finding creative and engaging ways to ensure quality teaching and learning environments for students in the classroom, as this is where our children learn best. Madam Acting President, the beginning of the 2021-2022 school year was not without its challenges. Bermuda was in its fourth and deadliest wave of community spread from the virus. Public school staff were being sent home in unsustainable numbers, even before the school buildings were fully open. Our private school partners did begin the school year with in-class learning. However, several schools were hit with positive cases, resulting in large numbers of students being placed in quarantine. One school had a delayed start, and the other completely closed for a week. Madam Acting President, the increased number of COVID positive cases caused the Ministry of Education to make the difficult decision to begin the 2021-2022 academic school year with remote learning for public schools. Despite the setbacks, there have been continued collaboration with the Ministry of Health to put the appropriate safety and health guidelines in place for our schools. Madam Acting President, let me remind my Senate colleagues that towards the end of 2020-2021 academic school year, through collaboration between the Department of Education and the Molecular Diagnostic Lab, also known as MDL, a saliva screening pilot program was implemented in both public and private schools. The pilot program saw staff from MDL visit various schools to conduct saliva testing on consenting students and staff. Ultimately, students and staff consenting to participate in the program were tested at least once per month. The program proved to be successful in identifying asymptomatic cases. The saliva screening program was revised and has continued in the 2021-2022 school year, with all public schools testing weekly. At this point, I want to extend thanks to our parents and the staff for supporting the program and providing consent for their children to participate, as this will help to keep our schools safe. Madam Acting President, both public and private schools have implemented key COVID-19 preventative safety measures to ensure safety in the school buildings. Public schools introduced a pre-return testing policy in that all staff and students are required to have a negative COVID-19 test to enter school buildings after a break in school. Private schools, on the other hand, have implemented the lateral flow testing for staff and students up to twice a week, which includes teaching staff, administrative staff, janitorial, and security staff. Madam Acting President, research has shown that in-person learning is best for our students. The focus of our schools has been to minimize continuous disruption of student learning due to identified positive COVID cases in schools. The Ministry of Health has received input from the Minister of Education, Department of Education, and our private schools, which has resulted in a revised approach to how close contacts and casual contacts are now treated in the event of a positive case that has been identified in a school. Instead of a full class of students having to be quarantined, the Department of Health risk assessment now allows persons deemed as a casual contact to remain in school if an initial negative PCR test is obtained. However, close contacts are still required to quarantine as per usual. We are pleased about the change in policy, which has allowed more students to remain in school for in-class learning. Madam Acting President, since schools have opened for the 21-22 school year, there have been 38 positive cases to date, 14 in public schools and 24 in the private schools. I am certain that the safety measures that have been put in place have helped to identify positive cases earlier and also have allowed schools to remain open with continuous in-person learning for our children. Madam Acting President, earlier this week, the Ministry of Health advised that schools could move from phase 1 to phase 2 of the school COVID guidelines, which means that our younger students from preschool to P3 do not have to wear face masks while inside the classroom. The intent is to review this policy in 2 weeks for a possible move to phase 3. Many in the community have advocated for a quicker move between the COVID protocol school phases, as other entities in Bermuda have opened up. However, Madam Acting President, I wish to remind all that our schools are considered high to medium risk locations. Students are in a classroom approximately 3 feet apart from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. daily. A relaxation in the school's protocols too quickly and leading to an outbreak could cause an entire class or year level to be quarantined. This would negate our recovery and our movement towards the new normal. Madam Acting President, each child sent home typically results in that household also being quarantined. A household in quarantine can affect a parent's ability to work and other siblings' inability to attend school. Those other siblings may result in fellow students at their school being affected and their respective households as well. If we stop and think about this, it is easy to see the potential knock-on effects of a positive case in a school. We want to, and we will, ease the restrictions, but this is to be done and needs to be balanced with the safety of our children and the need for them to remain in school. Madam Acting President, in this last outbreak, approximately 1/3 of cases were children. And to my understanding, a few cases can be traced back to parents sending their children to childcare settings when other children were infected and then returned home to infect household members. While children may not be as affected by COVID as adults, children tend to be around their elders who may be more susceptible to COVID complications. With our prevalence of multi-generational households, this can be a real issue. The guidelines in schools have allowed us to open and keep them open, and at the same time, help protect our community. Madam Acting President, we will continue to do what is best for our students and their families to keep them in school and learning. While this may inconvenience our adults at times, our focus will remain on keeping our students and our schools safe for in-person learning. Madam Acting President, I want to take the time out right now to thank staff at the Ministry of Education, the Department of Education, the Ministry of Health, the Department of Health School Surveillance Team, our private school partners, the school's testing team at MDL. It is genuinely a collaborative effort of all involved and their hard work and dedication to ensure that our schools have programs that enable us to keep our students in school and be protected as much as possible from the COVID-19 virus. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Owen Darrell. Senator Darrell, I think I'm calling on you yet again. The next statement is Bermuda College 2020 Annual Report and 2021 Audited Statements and 2021 Student Financial Report. It will be presented by Senator Owen K. Darrell, Junior Minister for Education. Senator Darrell.
Thank you, Madam Acting President. Madam Acting President, this morning I rise before this Honorable House, Senate, to lay the Bermuda College 2021 Annual Report and its 2021 Audited Financial Statements as required under Section 8(2) of the Bermuda College Act 1974. I will also report on the government's $300,000 annual grant and the Bermuda College Promise Merit Award Program, both of which are provided as financial support for students to attend the Bermuda College. Madam Acting President, one of the main functions of the Bermuda College Board of Governors is to deliver an annual report on the college activities and to produce annual audited financial statements. I will report first on the Bermuda College Annual Report. The 2020-2021 Annual Report highlights the resilience demonstrated by faculty, staff, and students in ensuring that business operations, instruction, and learning proceeded with minimum disruption despite the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. The annual report also shows the progress made by the Bermuda College in key areas of its 5-year strategic plan. Vision 2023, delivering success. Madam Acting President, some of the operational, academic, and technical activities undertaken by the Bermuda College during the past year are as follows. A virtual site visit of the college was held with the New England Commission of Higher Education, accrediting agency. The site visit culminated in the NECHE accepting the first 5-year interim report produced by the Bermuda College. More than $6 million was raised for capital projects and student financial assistance by the Bermuda College Foundation and its donors. The building commenced for a state-of-the-art career development center, renovation of one of its lecture theaters, and upgrading of its IT infrastructure as a result of a generous gift of $3.8 million from Athene Life Re, Athene Holdings, Aspen Insurance Holdings, and Catalina Insurance Holdings. There was an increased enrollment of 6% in the academic divisions during a challenging period when comparable institutions grappled with enrollment. Additionally, PACE serviced 1,181 students compared to the 857 the previous year, an increase of 37%. During the past year, the college graduated 139 students, including 32 in January of 2021, when it held its first winter commencement in over a decade. 15 graduates of the Mount St. Vincent University program represented the largest cohort in 10 years. In December 2020, 296 students earned international qualifications and workforce development certificates via the Division of Professional and Career Education, also known as PACE. 109 public high school students earned their City and Guild entry level introductory award. in employability skills, and 16 students earned the Certificate for Nursing Assistants, the CNA. Madam Acting President, Bermuda College has expanded its online program offerings. We've signed articulation or transfer agreements with overseas institutions, such as the Southern New Hampshire University, authoring a BA in psychology or general studies, a BS in business administration or technical management. East Carolina University in the area of coastal and marine science, Walden University for students in nursing from an RN to a BSN program, and Farmingham State University, where the first cohort of 13 students has commenced a graduate program in educational leadership. Madam Acting President, the college also partnered with the Association of Bermuda Insurers and Reinsurers, also known as ABIR, and the St. John's University in New York to develop a talent pipeline for Bermudians to enter the insurance and reinsurance industry. The Division of Professional and Career Education recorded its first qualified Associate Chartered Certified Accountant, or the ACCA graduate, since the program's inception in 2011. The PACE Division also achieved a commendable 25th ranking out of 200 community colleges in the Learning Resource Network, LEARN, having registered over 90 students for online professional certificate courses during the year. Madam Acting President, student success undergirds all instructional strategies and initiatives at the college, and the following highlights are examples of student success. A partnership with Northampton University and the Bermuda Hospitals Board led 3 nursing graduates from Northampton University Bachelor's of Mental Health program, in which 2 received excellence awards. In computer information systems, a second-year student took part in the Technology Leadership Forum, a government-sponsored internship involving multiple companies. 2 students also took advantage of summer internships with At Company, a Silicon Valley tech startup. Madam Acting President, 2 Earth and Environmental Studies students participated in a 6-week-long weekend program for the marine science scholars at the Bermuda Institute of Ocean Science, BIOS. The program aimed to reach students who could benefit from the field and laboratory experience at BIOS. 1 student is now enrolled in the marine science program at the Bermuda College. The other is currently attending the University of Plymouth to study ocean exploration and surveying. Madam Acting President, I will now shift to the fiduciary responsibility of the Bermuda College Board of Governors. I am pleased to report that the 2021 audited financial statements for the Bermuda College were unqualified. As such, in the opinion of the Auditor General, the statements present fairly the financial position of the Bermuda College at the end of the fiscal year of 2021. The audited financial statements indicate that the Bermuda College had assets worth $22,642,466 and total liabilities of $17,326,538. Additionally, Madam Acting President, it should be noted that the Bermuda College currently has no long-term debt. Cash and cash equivalents for the period increased by 22.7% to $3,807,943. The accounts receivable increased by 6.7% to $1,133,591. And the accounts payable decreased by 2.2% and stood at $2,892,951 at the end of the 2021 fiscal year. Madam Acting President, although there have been capital investments at the college with the building of the Career Development Center and the upgrades to the IT infrastructure, this did not occur before March 31st, 2021. As such, the capital assets reflected a depreciation as of March 31st and totaled $14,909,119. However, with the establishment of the Bermuda College Foundation, it is expected that there will be ongoing capital investments in the infrastructure. Madam Acting President, The government grant to the Bermuda College remained at $15,906,000 during the 2020-2021 fiscal period, while other revenue decreased by $577,704, or 2.6%. However, total expenses also decreased by 9.2%, resulting in excess of revenue of $1,060,304 for the year. $1,016,304 for the year. Madam Acting President, the Bermuda College financial officers and the Office of the Auditor General have been working audaciously during the past year to ensure that the Bermuda College complies with the financial standards of its accreditors, NECHE, and the Bermuda College Act. This goal has been achieved since the college submitted both its 2020-2021 financial audited statements and its 2020-2021 annual report by September 30th, 2021. As of today, both documents have been presented to the Senate. Madam Acting President, I extend thanks to the Auditor General, Ms. Heather Thomas, and her team in the Office of the Auditor General for their efforts in bringing Bermuda College up to date with its audits. Additionally, thanks are also given to Mr. Dwight Furbett, the Vice President for Finance and Operations, and his team at the college. Madam Acting President, I will now report on the annual government tuition grant of $300,000 given to the Bermuda College for financial support to students and share information on the College Promise Merit Program. Madam Acting President, let me first speak to the annual grant of $300,000. My honorable colleagues will recall that since September 2017, the Bermuda College has been receiving an additional $300,000 specifically to support students in financial need. The purpose of this grant is to provide financial assistance to students in one of three academic divisions or the professional or career education PACE division at the college. To qualify for the funding, students must demonstrate a financial need. Current students must have a grade point average of 2.0 or higher. The tuition awards range from 30% to 100% of the student's educational cost, with the educational cost defined as the value of tuition plus fees. Madam Acting President, this semester, 78 students received financial assistance from the tuition grant, totaling $141,855. 25 students were enrolled in Mount St. Vincent University Business Administration Program. 23 were enrolled in business and finance programs, and 15 were enrolled in health programs, and 15 in in-service programs. Madam Acting President, allow me to point out that since this tuition grant was instituted in 2017, a total of 174 students have graduated or earned a certificate. 99 students have graduated with an associate's degree, diploma, or certificate from the academic divisions. 40 students have earned a workforce development certificate from PACE. 29 students have earned their bachelor's degree from Mount St. Vincent University. 2 students have earned a master's degree from Miami University, and 4 students have earned their postgraduate teaching diploma from the University of West Indies. Our students are experiencing success from this tuition grant, which we expect will trickle down into the economy as they pursue jobs in their respective fields of study. Madam Acting President, on the other hand, the College Promise Merit Award Program was introduced in 2019, specifically for high school students. This program allows qualifying public school students to attend the Bermuda College tuition-free immediately after their high school graduation. This is the 3rd year of the program, and I'm pleased to share with my honorable colleagues that since its inception in 2019, 4 students have graduated from the Bermuda College. Currently, 65 students are participating in the College Promise program at the Bermuda College this year, of which 33 are new Promise student entrants, and 32 are returning students. Madam Acting President, this government remains committed to supporting our Bermudian students. They are taking the opportunity to pursue tertiary education and doing well in their pursuits. The government will continue to provide funding to ensure that no student is denied a Bermuda College education due to lack of finances. Madam Acting President, in closing, I want to commend the board chair and members, faculty, staff, and administration at the Bermuda College for their continued commitment to the operations and delivery of tertiary education at the college during these unprecedented times. I invite the Senate to read the annual report for details of the Bermuda College accomplishments and successes for the 2020-2021 reporting period. Lastly, I encourage the general public to take advantage of the various courses and programs offered at the Bermuda College, where there are many paths. Discover yours. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Darrell. I think you can take a little break right now. We're moving on to the next statement, and it is an update on universal health coverage, and it will be presented by Senator Ariana J.L. Hodgson, Junior Minister for Health. Senator Hodgson?
Thank you, Madam Acting President. Sorry. In this year's throne speech, the Governor of Bermuda has reaffirmed its intention to implement universal health coverage for all residents. Our vision for healthcare seeks to ensure that all people have equitable access to needed informative, preventive, curative, rehabilitative, and palliative essential health services of sufficient quality to be effective, while also ensuring that people do not suffer financial hardship when paying for these services and critical medicines. Bermuda is fortunate in that we have a health system that is well developed and well supported by dedicated professionals. However, the overall affordability and sustainability of our health system is deeply concerning for this government. Bermuda has one of the highest per capita health expenditures globally, but our population health outcomes do not reflect this. Continuing with the status quo in the hope that the situation resolves itself is simply not a responsible option. Madam Acting President, change is required, and the journey is indeed complex and one which we will travel together for several years as we seek to ensure better health outcomes, particularly of chronic disease management, essential health services residents can be confident they can afford when they need them, and the elimination of waste and duplication where it occurs. Having committed to universal health coverage, the Ministry of Health was tasked with developing the way forward. To do so, the ministry brought together a core group of stakeholders from across our health system to serve as the UHC Steering Committee to develop the roadmap for strengthening Bermuda's healthcare. The UHC Steering Committee is led by the Ministry of Health and comprises representatives of Bermuda First, the Bermuda Medical Doctors Association, the Bermuda Health Council, the Department of Health, the Bermuda Hospitals Board, the Health Insurance Department, Ministry of Finance, and a patient representative, and its work is supported by KPMG. In this process, the Steering Committee took note of healthcare systems in other jurisdictions, both large and small, who have already taken their first steps on this journey. It is clear that there are many paths to reach universal health coverage, and UHC is very much advocated by the United Nations and World Health Organization, but the approach taken here on our island must be Bermuda-centric. Madam Acting President, we do know the goal of achieving universal health coverage will be accomplished in stages, and these stages will take place over a number of years. It is our commitment to the people of Bermuda that we will keep them fully informed of progress. As part of developing the roadmap, the UHC Steering Committee examined the current health system and identified a number of actions to prioritize for its strengthening. These can be grouped into the following three areas. 1, stewardship and governance. 2, healthcare service delivery. And 3, health system value and financing. Taking each in turn, stewardship and governance is the foundational framework for the health system. This is where vision and strategy are set, population health needs are understood, transparent responsibility and accountability are established, and organizational and legal structures are implemented. For example, with respect to responsibility and accountability, identified actions include setting standard metrics for measuring and monitoring system and population health performance and for public reporting of the results. How does Bermuda measure up against other jurisdictions in terms of our population's health? How does Bermuda measure up in terms of best practices? Secondly, strengthening healthcare service delivery involves ensuring all residents have equitable access to essential healthcare that is integrated in an efficient manner, and which produces good patient experiences and health outcomes. Identified actions in this area include determining what are the essential healthcare services, what approach do we take to the delivery of care services, how do we take advantage of advancements in information systems to better manage patient care. Concerning the third work area, health system value and financing, this is a very challenging aspect for Bermuda. As stated previously, our health expenditure is high and it does not match our health outcomes. However, before making abrupt changes to achieve a sustainable health system, it is crucial to fully understand current and future costs, both at a system and at an individual patient level. Therefore, identified actions include, but are not limited to, confirming the current cost of care and how these costs are distributed, modeling future costs, including the do-nothing option, identifying where savings exist across the health system, and evaluating modern purchasing and procurement mechanisms so that we know how the essential benefits can be most efficiently purchased. These steps and more constitute very necessary and responsible due diligence. Madam Acting President, while the pandemic delayed work on plans for universal health coverage as the ministry, hospital, health council, physicians, and allied professionals across Bermuda joined in the fight against COVID-19, this delay created space and time for the ministry, working closely with the Uhc Steering Committee, to develop a refreshed approach to health system change. As a result, the many actions identified as necessary to strengthen Bermuda's health system are based on and framed by a patient-focused approach that puts patient experiences and outcomes at the center of the work on universal health coverage. Madam Acting President, Year 1 of the initial 3-year roadmap for universal health coverage is foundational in nature. 3 of the Year 1 areas of work are mentioned in the throne speech. The first would be the digital health strategy. Establishing a national health strategy for digital healthcare and data that leverages health information systems to capture improvements and efficiencies for patients, healthcare providers, and health system payers. Integrated patient pathway for essential care. Implementing a patient pathway approach which focuses on a patient's journey or pathway through the healthcare system allows us to examine the fragmented components of healthcare and the costs involved at each point that care is delivered. A pathway can be a particular patient group, such as maternal child care, or disease, such as kidney disease or heart disease. By following a pathway from start to finish, we can better see opportunities to improve patient experiences and outcomes and address any duplicative, wasteful use of resources. Commence merging the administration of government healthcare plans. Review and implement a merger of the administrative functions of the government plans. A portion of this work was undertaken when the health insurance plan and future care were consolidated under the Health Insurance Department. The administrative merger will represent the completion of this process and involves GEHI and funds controlled by financial assistance and other patient care subsidies. The other areas of work in Year 1 involve setting up the organizational structure for stewardship and governance, including new working groups for collaboration with stakeholders, determining the baselines required, for example, for our health needs and for the metrics to measure our performance, and establishing the economic case for strengthening our health system. Madam Acting President, vitally important for the work on universal health coverage is the engagement of and collaboration with the broad group of stakeholders who form part of Bermuda's health system. We have a direction of travel, but there are many questions to answer and decisions to make that will need broader input than is represented solely by the Uhc Steering Committee or the ministry itself. In the coming weeks, the ministry will be meeting with the executive and membership of those represented on the steering committee, as well as the private insurers, Bermuda Medical Council, and Nursing and Midwifery Council, the Bermuda Chamber of Commerce, the Bermuda Employers Council, ABEAR, ABEC, our union leaders, and others. The purpose is to share the roadmap for achieving universal health coverage and the work done so far, and most importantly, the work still to be done. We know their insight and feedback will be invaluable as we improve healthcare access, experience, and outcomes for all who live here. Madam Acting President, let us not lose sight of our personal responsibility for our own health. With or without universal health coverage, the Ministry of Health seeks to empower the community to lead healthy lifestyles. To do so, the Department of Health provides information and tools for individuals to take charge of their health. Lifestyle is the cause of many common chronic diseases, and that means it can also be part of the solution in treating and even reversing them. Through the Department of Health's HEAL program, Healthy Eating and Active Living, we strongly encourage the people of Bermuda to participate in one or more of the following initiatives. The Complete Health Improvement Program is one of the world's most scientifically proven intensive lifestyle intervention solutions designed to help support and facilitate the prevention, treatment, and reversal of chronic diseases. Facilitated over 12 to 18 sessions in a group setting, CHIP puts you on the fast track to better health by guiding you toward habits that help you thrive. Grow, Eat, Save is a free 8-week gardening initiative where attendees learn the basics of starting their own garden from gardening experts and have the opportunity to work in teams on a plot provided by the Parks Department to implement the skills they have learned in class. Attendees learn to be sustainable in providing some food to their families during these difficult times. The Hearts Initiative is a pilot program to be launched in January 2022 to implement evidence-based hypertension and diabetes protocols to improve the management of cardiovascular health in primary care. Madam Acting President, these are only a few examples of the wellness initiatives available through the Department of Health. We fully recognize the fundamental role of prevention in contributing to healthy outcomes and a sustainable health system. I would like to take this opportunity to reiterate Minister Wilson's thanks to the UHC Steering Committee for their hard work to date. We are all very much at the beginning of a multi-year journey with challenges and complexities in front of us. I echo Minister Wilson's appreciation for contributions in getting us to this point. You have helped to put Bermuda on a realistic path to achieve universal health coverage. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Ariana Hutchinson. And following on, we have another statement, the role of the Labor Advisory Council and its functions, also presented by Senator Ariana J.L. Hutchinson, Junior Minister for Labor. Senator Hutchinson.
Thank you, Madam Acting President. I am pleased to rise today to provide to the members of this honorable House an overview of the role and functions of the Labor Advisory Council and the work that will commence in 2022. Madam Acting President, the LAC was established in the 1960s in response to the labor and social unrest that was taking place during this time. It is a non-statutory tripartite government board tasked with advancing industrial relations and garnering consensus amongst its members to make recommendations concerning legislative amendments, policies, and standards regarding Bermuda's labor force. Madam Acting President, the LAC is chaired by the Minister of Labor and is comprised of representatives from the government, employer groups, and worker groups as equal and independent partners, together seeking solutions to the issues facing Bermuda's labor force through social dialogue. This form of social dialogue is referred as tripartism, and it is extremely effective as it allows for the views of each side to be taken into consideration when decisions are made, leading to more favorable outcomes for all stakeholders involved. Madam Acting President, the LAC meets quarterly and has the ability to meet more frequently where necessary. Subcommittees of the LAC meet more regularly. The LAC will reconvene quarterly meetings in January 2022 and has a robust agenda that I will now share with the members of this House, which include, but is not limited to, further amendments to the Employment Act 2000, guidance on independent contractor contracts, and inequalities in the world of work. Madam Acting President, the Ministry has identified areas within the Employment Act 2000 where further strengthening of workplace protection is required. The LAC will be asked to review and opine on a policy document in this regard, which includes but is not limited to the following areas. Firstly, a requirement to notify the Ministry of Labor where an employer intends to engage in mass terminations of more than 20 persons. This will enable the Ministry to provide the necessary assistance in a timely manner to employers as it relates to compliance with the Act, as well as to employees as it relates to seeking alternate employment and or retooling them for the labor force. Determining what constitutes the end of a layoff period. This will ensure that when recalling employees to work, there are measures in place that protect employees from consecutive layoff periods and clearly defining the end of the layoff period. The publication of employment standards. This will ensure that all employed persons, particularly work permit holders, are aware of their rights and obligations under the Act and who they may contact for assistance. Workplace inspections by the Labor Relations Manager. This will ensure that employers maintain adequate employment records in accordance with the Act and that employees have the appropriate access. Wage theft protections. This will strengthen employee protections, ensuring that there are adequate provisions to protect employees from employers who fail to pay employees for all hours worked, fail to make appropriate overtime payments, fail to allocate tips to employees, and illegally deduct or fail to make the appropriate statutory benefit payments. Madam Acting President, the ministry has received a number of concerns from workers and members of the public pertaining to unfair contractual terms and employment contracts that seem to take advantage of the current economic climate in Bermuda and persons' inability to find suitable and sustainable employment. The Act was amended to address this long-standing issue and allows for the manager of the Labor Relations Section, in consultation with the Labor Advisory Council, to issue guidance for the purpose of determining whether an employment relationship more closely resembles that of an employee than an independent contractor. The LAC will consider this issue and determine whether it is necessary to issue guidance in this regard and the contents of the same. Madam Acting President, on the 23rd of November 2021, the minister attended the International Labor Organization Caribbean Labor Ministers Meeting in preparation for the 109th session of the International Labor Conference. The LAC will review the report submitted to the 109th session of the International Labor Conference entitled Inequalities and the World of Work. The LAC will consider this report as it relates to Bermuda and will seek to address the following areas: the economic and social implications of inequality in the workplace, the main drivers of inequality inside of the labor market, and what effective responsive policies and measures should be introduced to reduce inequality and promote productivity and growth, including in the context of the recovery from the pandemic. Madam Acting President, the ministry would like to take this opportunity to thank the members of this House for the opportunity to address them in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ariana Hudson. And the final statement this morning is Bermuda's participation in COP26, and it's being presented by Senator Lindsay K. Simmons, Junior Minister for Home Affairs. Senator Simmons.
Thank you, Madam Acting President. I rise to provide an update of Bermuda's participation in COP26. Honorable members will be aware that Minister Rabin had the opportunity to represent Bermuda at this year's UN Climate Change Conference, COP26, in Glasgow between the 31st of October to the 12th of November. Through our London office and the UK representatives, Bermuda holds chairmanship of the United Kingdom Overseas Territories Association, UKATA. UKATA is recognized in the United Kingdom as the official association which exists to advance the interests of the United Kingdom Overseas Territories, facilitate cooperation between them, and promote solidarity. The association determines the collective partnership between the territories and Her Majesty's government of the United Kingdom. As such, the UK government facilitates our presence at COP26 as part of the UK delegation's overflow, of which Bermuda led a delegation of 7 from across the territories. Madam Acting President, governments of the UK Overseas Territories are custodians of international important habitats which span the globe from the Antarctic to the Caribbean, the Indian Ocean to the Pacific. All 14 territories are on the front line of the impact of climate change as vulnerable small island states. We are also at the forefront of renewable energy, nature-based solutions, adaptation and resilience, oceans protections, and with global leadership in catastrophic risk reinsurance climate finance. Together with the UK territories represented the world's fifth largest marine estate, of which 75% is protected, containing over 90% of the UK's biodiversity. We recognize that we are vital to the UK meeting its pledge by 2030 to protect 30% of the world's ocean. Bermuda is not immune or isolated from the impacts of climate change. Our island is exposed to rising sea levels, increasing severe and frequent storms, and to change in ocean's current and weather patterns. Isolated, beautiful, and unique, Bermuda is home to the most northerly coral reef system in the Atlantic Ocean, which is a critical habitat for marine biodiversity, as Bermuda is the only landmass in the Sargasso Sea. A floating rainforest of sargassum seaweed that is home to spawning sites of several species of threatened and endangered marine wildlife. We are a treasure trove of environmental wealth, a capital of ocean conservation, and a key player on the global stage of financial risk management. As an island community vulnerable to the effects of climate change and as a global capital of climate-related financial risk management, we are determined that Bermuda will participate in the international response to ensure our collective safety and prosperity. To that end, we continue to declare that Bermuda is committed to increasing our population of our fragile ecosystem, reducing our carbon footprint, and mitigating the impact of climate change. Madam Acting President, we are particularly proud of the work being done on the auspices of the Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Program, which will manage the Marine Spatial Plan, and the Marine Spatial Planning will develop and legally adopt and enforce comprehensive EEZ-wide plan designed to sustainable manage resources and protect 20% of Bermuda's water as no-take fisheries replenish in. Our ambition looking forward is to be a thriving blue economy with the diversification of our national revenue and strength our sustainable use of our oceans, resource and economic growth, improve livelihoods and jobs, and continue ecosystem health. Madam Acting President, all of Bermuda's success and ambition in fighting climate change was featured at COP26. Minister Rabin had the pleasure of chairing an overseas territory event in the UK Pavilion on Nature Day entitled Our Vision for Healthy Oceans. The event, organized through UCARTA, together with the UK Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, DEFRA, was dramatically focused on raising awareness, protecting our oceans, and how the overseas territories are taking action against climate change. The event importantly featured a powerful video collaborations of all overseas territories, highlighting how climate change impacts our marine life and sustainability. If any honorable members have not had the opportunity to see this video, I strongly encourage viewing this video, which can be found on the UK government's YouTube channel. Madam President, the UK Minister for the Pacific and International Environment, the Right Honorable Lord Zach Goldsmith, acknowledged what these leaders are doing is simply heroic. Our overseas territories are protecting an area of water bigger than India. It is one of the best conservation beings of my generation. Lord Zach Goldsmith's acknowledgement went further with compliments in the Joint Ministerial Council, JMC, in which the Premier presided as President of the UKADA Political Council. The UK government's commitment to work closely with the overseas territory governments where technical expertise was requested, and to prioritize climate change and environmental issues in the future funding of territories. The overseas territories committed to continue to formulate ambitious climate targets and policies. Madam Acting President, we should be proud of the work achieved at COP26 in terms of heightened recognition within the UK and international community on Bermuda's efforts and success in this space. We agree that a greater level of engagement will continue for all overseas territories, including a future convention of Biological Diversity and Climate Change Summit. Madam Acting President, the work continues and our partnership with the UK and fellow overseas territories in tackling climate change and accessing international funding is at the forefront of this government's work. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Lindsay Simmons. We'll now move on to the introduction of bills. There are none. And the next item on the agenda is the first reading of public bills. The following public bills have been received from the Honorable House of Assembly and are now read for the first time. Their titles are respectively: the Bermuda National Trust Amendment Act 2021 and the Government Fees Amendment and Validation Act 2021. The next item on the agenda is the first reading of private bills, and there are none. The next item is questions and the question period. Senators, you are invited to ask questions about the statements. I think we'll just take them in turn. That will be a lot easier. So the first statement which was read was that on the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. Are there any questions? Would any senator like to ask a question? Senator Robin Tucker, you have the floor.
Good morning, and thank you, Madam Acting President. And good morning to my Senate colleagues and the listening audience. The question that I have for the Junior Minister, first, I actually want to say thank you to the Junior Minister for bringing the statement to the Senate chamber. It's important as a society that we protect and care for every person in this community, and particularly for our vulnerable. So I do have a few questions. My first question is around the formal register of persons with disability that's being developed. I would like to know if the registration of persons with disabilities will be mandatory.
Would you like to ask all your questions or do you want to wait for the response because you might have a supplementary?
Yes, please. I'd prefer to wait for the response. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Tucker. Senator Lindsay Simmons, do you have a response?
I'm waiting for a response now. 1 second.
While you're waiting, perhaps I can ask if there's any other senator who would like to ask a question about the statement on the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. No, I don't see any, so we're just waiting with you, Senator Simmons.
Acting Madam President, if you want, you could move on. And as soon as I get the answer, I'll let you know.
I don't particularly want to move away from this statement. There don't seem to be any other questions, so perhaps we can just wait a little bit longer.
Madam Acting President,
Senator Simmons, yes.
that will be evaluated. That's the answer I have for that question.
Senator Tucker, do you have a supplementary you'd like to ask?
It's a little difficult to ask a supplementary question with such a vague answer. However, I would ask this question if the,
Is this a supplementary?
this is a supplementary, yes.
Okay.
So if registration will not be mandatory, then I would like to know what the plan is to ensure that they have reliable data. If the registration is not mandatory, particularly because registration of persons is based on the statement supposed to be used to support other initiatives. So one would think that having the information that is on the register, if it's going to be relied upon for benefits and supports and all of that, that the information on the register will be reliable. If it is,
This is still part of the
this is
same
part of
supplementary.
my same supplementary.
Okay.
If registration is mandatory, I would like to know if there is an opt-out for people. And if it is an opt-out, on what basis? Am I allowed 3 supplementaries or just 2?
2. Don't
Okay.
stretch it.
Okay.
We'll wait for a response. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you,
Tucker.
Madam President, Madam Acting President.
We're just awaiting answers from Senator Lindsay K. Simmons, the Junior Minister for Social Development and Seniors.
At this time, we haven't made a decision whether it's going to be voluntary or mandatory, but it will be evaluated.
Thank you, Senator Simmons. Senator Tucker, a supplementary or a new question?
A new question, please,
Okay,
Madam
thank you.
Acting Chairman.
Excuse me, Madam Acting. I have a supplementary for that original question. Sorry to interject, but can I?
Yes, you may. Senator Marcus Jones.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, good morning to you and my fellow senators. Again, I'd like to thank the Junior Minister for bringing this very important statement to this chamber. I believe that if we take care of the least of these within our community, I believe that the whole community would benefit from it. I do appreciate the fact that the answer that she is looking to ascertain is not fully available at this point, as that ministry is evaluating. My question would be, I'm sure that this whole idea of the disability register is not new in the world. The template, I believe, that the ministry is looking to emulate comes from other jurisdictions. So my question would be, what is the best practices in other jurisdictions where it is mandatory? And if there is that stipulation in other jurisdictions, does the junior minister have any idea of what that looks like? Just to give us an idea here in this chamber of what parameters that the ministry is looking to formulate their evaluation of whether Bermuda is going to do it and make it mandatory or not.
Thank you, Senator Marcus Jones. Senator Simmons, you've heard the question. While we're waiting, is there any other senator who has a question related to this? Senator Tucker, would you like to go to your
I could-
third question? I mean, second question, sorry.
I could answer it.
Oh, Senator Simmons?
Yes.
Yes.
So right now we're in the early stages and we are still in the development stage, and most of the registers are electronic, but we will also be on hand to help with manual, but we're still trying to evaluate and get and undertake other jurisdictions. So we're still working on it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Senator Simmons. Senator Robin Tucker, your second question.
Yes, thank you, Madam Acting Chairperson. My second question for the junior minister is, while I appreciate that we're still in the development stages, I think that my question is probably one more geared toward the foundational level, which I would expect would be determined at this particular point. So there were two different definitions, similar definitions for disabled persons. So I'm wondering what qualification for being on the register will be required, and if it will be aligned with the Human Rights Act 1981's definition of disabled. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Senator Lindsay Simmons, do you have a response?
1 second. So yes, it will align with the Human Rights Act 1981. The Human Rights Commission has a disability definition.
Thank you. The supplementary, Senator Tucker?
Thank you, Madam Acting Chairperson. So my supplementary question is that the Act includes the definition, the Human Rights Act 1981 includes as part of their definition of disabled person is persons with diabetes, epilepsy, and acquired immune deficiency syndrome, otherwise known as AIDS. So what I would like to know is whether everyone that has a disability, including what I've just mentioned, under the Human Rights Act, will they be required to register and be part of the register? Thank you, Madam President, Acting President.
Thank you.
Madam Acting President, I just want to reiterate that it's still under the development, and as soon as formal decisions are made, we will definitely let the public know and the Senate chamber. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Lindsay Simmons. Senator Tucker, do you have another supplementary or a new question?
Thank you, Madam Acting Chairperson. I do have a supplementary question. What I did not see in the definition, specifically stated in the definition, I'm sure that it is covered, but a specific category was persons with learning disabilities, and so again, I would like to know if the plan would be to specifically include them and set that out as well. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Senator Lindsay Simmons, do you have a response?
Yes, Madam Acting President, it will be covered. I mean, we did touch on autism, so it definitely will be covered. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Tucker, a third question?
Yes, please. My third question is, what entity will have responsibility for obtaining this information and keeping the register confidential, private, and updated? Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Senator Simmons, Senator Lindsay Simmons.
One second. As stated before, the policy is still under development, so I don't have an answer for you at this time. But as soon as we formalize it, you will know. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Simmons. Senator Robin Tucker, do you have a supplementary?
I do have a supplementary, and I don't mean to be, when I make this comment and ask this question, I certainly don't mean to be difficult or disrespectful in any way. I'm just surprised that we're making an announcement that a register is going to be put out and people, but we don't have any answers to any of the very basic and very fundamental questions as it relates to this very important register of people with disabilities. So I would like to know whether there is any information that can be provided that gives us a little bit more detail about what this register will be about. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Senator Lindsay Simmons.
Thank you. I will say that the reason why this was announced is because it is very important that we are going to have a registry. So we're letting the public know. But right now, we're in the early stages of developing it. So it'll be too early for me to say, give too much information. But I think my statement said enough about how we plan on starting and that we are going to have a registry. So I think that it's not too early to announce that we're going to have a registry. We just need to formalize everything. And as soon as everything is formalized, we will let the public know and the Senate chamber. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Lindsay Simmons. I think we will move to the next statement, and that is update on the Tynes Bay Waste to Energy Facility. And I see Senator John White. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Acting President. I find it somewhat concerning, as I'm sure many Bermudians do, that in 2022, we're having to talk about reverting to use a landfill site for disposal of solid waste. I also find it somewhat concerning and disturbing that the reported repairs will be upwards of $10 million on this facility. If I just think of an analogy being, say, the owner of a commercial office building with critical assets such as air conditioning and other such assets, businesses often plan ahead for the replacement of aging assets.
Senator White, if I can just interrupt, please would you get to your question as quickly as you can?
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Madam President. So my question would be, there was a reference from the Acting Minister of Works about the replacement cost being $150 million. So I guess my question and ask would be, in light of many other countries around the world who are facing similar financial challenges to Bermuda, the technology for waste disposal over the last 30 years has improved tremendously, and there are many more cost-effective and cost-affordable options for consideration for waste disposal. So I would ask whether, in light of the $150 million comment, which is really buying a similar asset to what we installed 30 or 40 years ago, whether consideration is being given to these more cost-effective, cost-affordable, much more modern technologies that many other countries, some in the Caribbean, have sought and are using. Thank you, Acting Madam President.
Thank you, Senator White. Senator Darrell, would you like to respond now?
I'd actually ask respectfully, Madam Acting President, it would be more effective in my answers if everyone could possibly ask all their questions. Some may be crossover questions, and I can, give a full and comprehensive answer. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Would any other senator like to ask a question on the update on the Tynes Bay Waste to Energy facility? I see Senator Marcus Jones.
Thank you, Madam Acting President. I actually had a supplementary to Senator White's question. So should I proceed with the supplementary as well?
Yes.
And then, okay, fine. Tagging on behind Senator White, my question would be, well, let me preface it by saying, in another place and at an earlier time, even in this chamber, the cost that was dedicated to this particular facility happened to be in 2009, the PLP government invested $22 million. The OBA government between 2013 and 2015 invested $16 million. That's a combined $37 million into this Tynes Bay facility in the last 10 years. So my question would be, can the junior minister give us any indication of whether, with so much money having been invested into this facility over 10 years, was there ever a schedule in place for preventative maintenance? Was there a schedule that would actually assess the lifetime of this equipment? We're talking $37 million. That's a lot of money. And mind you, there was two governments that were involved in this. So maybe the junior minister can give us a clearer indication of how this very expensive capital project, how it was maintained and preventative maintenance put through for this particular facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Marcus Jones. Are there any other senators who would like to ask a question? Okay, I don't see any at this point.
Madam Acting President, I do have another question.
Please proceed, Senator Marcus Jones.
In light of the fact that the government now has to take on an alternative plan, which is to use the Marsh Valley plant, my question would be, has the ministry done a environmental assessment to determine how much possible damage reverting back to the old way of disposing of our waste? Can he possibly give us an indication of what the damage that could possibly do to a system that was actually made obsolete? I'd appreciate that. And finally, my last question, Madam President, Madam Acting President, is at a time when we and the world actually is focusing on climate control and taking care of our environment, will this government, in working on a financial solution to solve this, also in their planning find an alternative way of disposing of our waste without causing us to use the old fuel-driven machinery to do away with our waste? I think if we've got to invest money to produce something new, this would be a good time for the government to look at alternative means by which we can dispose it without creating more damage to our environment. Thank you, Acting Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Marcus Jones. Senator Robin Tucker, I believe you have a question as well.
I do. Thank you, Madam Acting Chairman. My question has to do with when will a decision be made as to whether we will need to revert to landfilling? In the statement, it was mentioned very soon, but what does that actually mean? Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Are there any other senators who would like to ask a question about the update on the Tynes Bay facility? I don't see any, so Senator Owen Darrell, we're coming to you for the answers.
Thank you, Madam Acting President. I will gladly respond to the senators who have asked questions. So the first question that was posed was from Senator White, and he asked, I believe, if I have this right, was any consideration given to other cost-effective options? The answer is yes. The technology that is used is actually for our waste is waste to energy, and it's still mass burn technology. And the Ministry of Public Works did produce extensive studies on new technologies. And just as a comparison, mass burn is still used in Europe and in Asia, which are the leaders in this industry. You know, closer to home in another overseas territory, Cayman Islands has proposed to build a new plant. And their example is also mass burn. So yes, to answer your question, other options of technology have been looked at, and mass burn still remains the most cost-effective and best used to make waste to energy. Supplementary, posed by Senator Jones, asked about a schedule for preventative maintenance. And I know this is not a debate, so I'll just answer the question that was asked. But preventative maintenance is ongoing. And the 37 million which Senator Jones talks about was actually to upgrade the turbine and the ash plant. What we've talked about in my statement was about main systems that need to be replaced. And to add on to that question, in the debate that I had 2 weeks ago, I would have reminded Senator Jones that when the Progressive Labor Party exited office in 2012, there was money that was put aside to do this upgrade of the main systems, and that money was diverted to an America's Cup boat race.
Point of order, Acting Madam President.
Senator Marcus Jones, just a minute. Can you tell us what your point of order is?
I believe the junior minister is blatantly and determined to mislead this chamber as well as the listening audience, to even make such a stretch to even suggest that monies that were set aside for one project was then put into another. He can't prove it. There's no evidence to substantiate that, and to say that is just being a little bit mischievous, Madam Acting President. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Jones. Senator Darrell, would you like to continue with responses to the questions?
Yes, thank you, Madam Acting President. I'll move to the second question that was actually answered, asked by Senator Jones regarding an environmental assessment to landfill. I would also like to remind the senator that my ministerial statement came from the Ministry of Public Works, and all environmental questions actually come under the Ministry of Home Affairs. However, I do have an answer for him that all permissions for landfilling have gone through environmental authority who control the license for the site. So the answer is yes. The next question, have we looked into alternative ways of disposing our waste? Yes, I think I answered this a little bit in question one, that I think Senator Jones misspoke again when he mentioned fuel-driven or technology. Mass burn technology is actually not fuel-driven. It actually reduces CO2 by offsetting fossil fuel use. And the fourth question by Senator Tucker, I believe she asked, when will landfilling commence? Unfortunately, landfilling has actually started since Saturday. Will continue for approximately 2 weeks while we restore the systems which the statement talked about. And the acting minister will give an update as soon as the plant and the operations improve. The commitment is to stop landfilling as soon as the risk is reduced at the plant. It's important to know, and it was not in the statement, but I will add this to it, that if we do nothing, the risk to actually human life actually increases. It is dangerous at Tynes Bay if we do nothing. I want to just add that.
Thank you,
Madam Acting
Senator
President.
Owen Darrell. Are there any supplementary questions? Any follow-up? Senator Robin Tucker?
Thank you, Madam Acting President. My supplementary question is just around the initial question concerning maintenance, the maintenance plan. I'm wondering what contributed, aside from age and all of those types of things, but if we have an efficient maintenance program in place, I'm just wondering what contributed to the critical failure of the contingency system in particular, if we have an efficient ongoing maintenance system. Obviously, the contingency system is supposed to be the last resort to make sure that, that we're not in this position we're in now. So I'm just wondering what led to that. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Are there any other follow-up or supplementary questions? Senator Darrell, back to you.
The failure that we're experiencing now was actually not maintenance related. It was normal wear and tear. And I'd say that if you divert funds that can't fix normal wear and tear, then you are left with this problem. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Darrell. Senator Tucker, another supplementary? Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So if we're talking about general wear and tear, doesn't that relate to maintenance? So if we're talking about monitoring and having efficient maintenance programs, then those types of wear and tear issues would be picked up when we are in the midst of the maintenance process. So I'm wondering where the lapse is that we would get to a point where we have general wear and tear issues that were not dealt with and prevented so that we do not experience the critical failure. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Senator Darrell?
The last straw, as you could say, of why we got to this point was the particular part that's needed. I mean, normally we would bale trash. You've seen it. You wrap it, take it to a place and store it until we get it up and running. But the part, as I think I stated in the statement, is not here. The workers down at Tynes Bay have been working. I saw one on actually Saturday. He was telling me he was working over the weekend trying to get the plant up and running. But the supply chain issue for these particular parts for the baling has gotten us to this point. I can, look into a proper maintenance schedule going forward if that's what you're looking for. But as far as this statement goes, as to the emergency measures that we're taking, I think I've laid out the reasons why.
Thank you, Senator Darrell. Senator Tucker, did I see your hand? This is your second question.
Yes, Madam Acting President. Apologies. Do I have a second supplementary? I don't
No,
have a.
you've used
I've
two
used some. Okay,
supplementaries
thank you.
already.
No, I don't have another question. then.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other questions on this statement, we'll go to the next one, which is the COVID-19 update in schools. Are there any questions? Senator Ben Smith?
Good morning, Madam Acting President. First of all, thank you to the Junior Minister for bringing this forward. Obviously, with what has been going on with education, this has been a topic that we've discussed here that I know that there are people in this chamber and in the public that are interested to know, specifically because the impact that COVID has had on education, specifically in-person learning as opposed to virtual learning. Madam Acting President, on the second page of the statement, the first paragraph, the Junior Minister refers to a saliva screening pilot program and said the program proved to be successful in identifying asymptomatic cases. And then it goes on to talk about all public schools testing weekly. My question is, can the Junior Minister confirm that all students, teachers, and staff of public schools are participating in the testing program every week? Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions about this statement? Senator Robin Tucker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Acting President. My question is, the schools have obviously been identified as medium to high risk locations. So I'm wondering if there is at any point a plan to put the public schools on the same testing requirements as the private schools. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Senator Marcus Jones, I see your hand. You have a question?
Yes, thank you, Madam Acting President. On the first page of the statement, may I read it, Madam?
Yes,
Acting President?
please.
The last paragraph says the increased number of COVID positive cases caused the Ministry of Education to make the difficult decision to begin the 2021-2022 academic year with remote learning for public schools. Now, I remember in our last session, we were talking about our students having to be at home. And one of the sticking points, if there was another wave, that there may not be enough laptops and equipment for every student if they had to stay at home. Now, we've seen in the public domain that there's been a number of laptops that's been donated to the public schools. Balco donated 200 and Al G. Reed donated 50. Can the Junior Minister give us an update on the numbers of laptops that are actually now needed with this addition since the last time we talked about it? How many more laptops will be needed where he and his ministry will be comfortable that there will be sufficient technical equipment, i.e. laptops, for every student in the public school system if we had a wave that made everyone have to go back home to do remote learning, that there will be sufficient? And if there's a shortage, here's a great platform for him to sell the idea of seeing who else can donate and prop up the inventory of laptops for our students in public school. Thank you, Junior Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Jones. Are there any other questions about this statement? Senator Ben Smith?
So, Madam Acting
Is this
President, I
a
just want to make sure,
Second question?
do I have to ask all my questions now, or can I wait until we start to get responses?
You can ask all your questions if you wish.
So one of my questions relates to a question that's been asked. So this will be my
Yeah.
second question. Because in the second paragraph on page 2, it talks about the return to school testing policy that happened in the public schools as opposed to the lateral flow testing that's happening in the private schools. So if we're going to the asymptomatic testing in order to protect the students and the population in the school. You get the snapshot before you return to school in the public schools, but you're getting a continuous snapshot in the private schools. Can the junior minister give us an explanation of what that difference, what the impact could have if there are actually asymptomatic cases that are happening in the public school that are not being identified because they don't have an ongoing testing regime? And my third question would relate to in the youth and sports ministry, they have implemented lateral flow testing to get to a return to sports. Connecting the two things, because inter-school sports and sports with schools comes under education as opposed to sports. If the junior minister can give us some idea whether the inter-school sports and sports between schools has been part of the conversation of returning back to normalcy for students, and whether they will be using the lateral flow testing that has been implemented by youth and sport in order to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Smith. Senator Darrow, I think those are the questions. There may be supplementaries following, but if you can provide answers, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Acting President. The first question is, I can confirm that all schools have over 80% consent for saliva testing. As senators would be aware, I'll remind them that in order for us to reopen schools, the requirement was 80%. So I can confirm that all schools have over 80% consent for saliva testing.
Would you like the supplementaries as we go? Okay. Senator Smith, a supplementary. Thank you.
Madam Acting President, so that didn't answer my specific question, because having 80% consent doesn't line up with the question, which is, are we doing saliva testing every week for every student, every teacher, and every staff member of every public school? That's different than 80% consent, which already has a hole in it, because that means there's 20% that are not participating, which could be where your asymptomatic is sitting. And the second part is, if you're not doing it on an ongoing basis, that is a problem that could lead to where we were, where schools are closed. So I think that question needs to be answered specifically. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Darrow?
I can confirm that 100% of the 80% that have consented are being tested weekly. I'll go on to question 2, Madam President, Madam Acting President.
Yes, please, Senator Darrow.
The question was posed to kind of compare public schools and our PCR gold standard testing regime that happens once a week with the less accurate twice a week testing regime of lateral flow in other schools. I'd just like to point out that although private schools are using antigen tests, and that's the decision they have made, we are doing weekly PCR screening. And I'm happy to report that there has been a donation, and we may be looking to do antigen test in the near future to also add to our gold standard PCR weekly saliva testing. Question 3. My statement here was not about laptops, so I'd have to do some further research, but the answer that I supplied in previous sessions, Senate sessions, is going to have to stand for now. And when we discuss laptops again, I can give an updated number. But right now, I'm just talking about COVID. That's the answer I have for that matter. I don't know what else to say about that at this time.
Okay.
And
Supplementary. Acting Madam
You have a
President?
supplementary, Senator Jones?
Yes,
Please
I-
proceed.
I think I need to just add to my question to bring a little bit of clarity on this. The question about the laptops is very much directly related to this COVID situation, because if our children have to be home and do remote learning, it's going to be critical that the government has everything in place to be able to take care of our kids, knowing that in the public school system, many of our children are further behind than normal. So it's very important, and the question is very relevant. But I will concede that that information may not be at the junior minister's disposal, and I'll be more than willing to wait at a later date when he can provide us with those numbers. Thank you, Acting Madam President.
Thank you. Senator Darrell, would you like to respond?
I think Senator answered for me. I'd provide those numbers at a later date.
Okay.
Thank you.
And there was another question posed by Senator Ben Smith that you haven't responded to yet. In fact, two questions.
So when it comes to the testing and the connection with sports, I know the minister has spoken to the Minister of Youth and Sport to assist with coming up with a plan for youth and sports and education. They're going to consult, and the Ministry of Youth and Sport will be assisting education with their antigen test and their framework for sport, which will have the sign off of health. So I believe that the antigen tests that were donated that I spoke about earlier will be used to put that plan in place for education, sport, and testing. So you should hear more about that in the coming weeks.
Do you have a supplementary, Senator Smith?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Mhm.
So specifically to the inter-school sport, which doesn't come under youth and sport, just because I've had several questions about when that might return. So
I
it's
guess I don't
actually
understand
different because,
inter-schools.
okay, so if Purvis Primary is doing school sports within Purvis Primary, can they play football with Prospect Primary, as an example?
Got
At
it.
present, I believe that is not allowed. So my question is, do we have a plan for how that will return?
Thank you, Senator Smith.
I believe, and I will look into this, that inter-school sports returns in phase 4 of that plan.
Thank you, Senator Darrell. Senator Smith, you're entitled to another supplementary.
So I'd like to have a supplementary to the response that Senator Darrell gave earlier when he talked about the gold standard testing as opposed to the lateral flow testing.
Mhm.
My specific supplementary is based off of, if you're using the gold standard, then it would be at 100%. That's the difference. So if you come through the airport, every person that comes to the airport has to do a test. That's the gold standard. That's why Bermuda implemented it. So if you're only doing 100% of the people that are consenting, you've got a hole in your net. So the idea that if you were testing on a regular basis using the lateral flow testing, which is also something that seems to be being approved by the government, because you're hearing about the potential of it happening, coming through the airport and different ways for us to use it. I don't think that we should be in a situation where we're kind of talking down on the lateral flow at the same time that we seem to be implementing it in other areas. So my question to the junior minister is, if we're trying to make sure that we're keeping our schools open, keeping our students protected, our teachers protected, and the people that they go home to protected, shouldn't we be looking at 100% consent? And if it's not 100% consent, then those students that are not participating shouldn't be in the environment. If the goal is to protect all of our students and allow in-person learning to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Smith. Senator Darrell, we await your response.
There's a lot in that, Madam Acting President. there's a lot of speculation, and I don't want to get into hypotheticals. But there is a situation that could arise that even if we went to antigen lateral flow testing, the same 20% that have not consented, whatever the number that is, may not consent to antigen tests. So I actually do believe that if we are getting 100% buy-in from the 80% consent, we are in a much, much better position than we were months or even a year ago when we were first facing the coronavirus in our schools. So yes, I actually do feel, and there is evidence that the plan that is currently in place is assisting to keep schools safe. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Darrell. You still have a question, Senator Darrell, that you haven't responded to. It was asked by Senator Ben Smith about the impact of asymptomatic carriers are not identified in a public school.
As I stated before, the program that we have in place is a marked improvement of where we were some time ago, and we believe that testing PCR once a week is keeping our students safe.
Thank you. Senator Robin Tucker, you have a new question.
I have a new question that I believe is related to something that was already said. So I don't know if we'd consider that a supplementary or not.
Supplementary.
Yes. The question is around consent. So we are talking about that 100% versus the 80% or 100% of the 80%. I am curious to know whether parents are asked every week to provide consent for their children to be saliva tested, or has a blanket consent been given? And if it's a blanket, then how often or what strategies are in place to increase the number from 80% to improve it? Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Are there any other supplementaries or additional questions while Senator Darrell is thinking or collecting information? Senator Darrell?
I do know that the initial push, as everyone would be aware, was to get schools reopened. And I cannot speak as to how often there is a renewal of efforts to increase the percentage of consent. I will have to seek that. But I'm being told that at any time, a parent can sign up and give consent at moed.bm. So yes, there was an initial push, but it remains open at any time.
Thank you, Senator Darrell. Senator Tucker, you are allowed a new question?
I'd actually,
Or another
I just have
supplementary?
another supplementary. I just looking for a bit of clarity around Senator Darrell's response. Because we're testing people's children every single week, and it's been going on for some time. So I'm just looking for clarity as to whether there is a blanket consent by parents, or do they have to provide a approval every week?
No.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Senator Darrell?
Once the consent is given, it remains in place.
Thank you. I think we can move to the next statement, which is Bermuda College 2020 Annual Report, 2021 Audited Statements, and 2021 Student Financial Report, also given by Senator Owen Darrell. Are there any questions about this statement? I don't see any hands. Therefore, I assume that there are no questions. The next statement is an update on universal health coverage. And I would ask again, are there any questions? Senator John White.
Thank you, Acting Madam President. My question, I guess I start by declaring my interest as the CEO of one of the health insurers in Bermuda, BFNM. But I'm very much in favor of universal health coverage. My question is, with arguably the greatest knowledge base for healthcare financing residing with the local health insurers, and with the local health insurers being the largest source of financing, why the local health insurers are not participating on this critical steering committee that is driving the future of healthcare in Bermuda. Thank you, Madam President, Acting Madam President.
Thank you, Senator White. Are there any other questions about this statement? Senator Robin Tucker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Acting President. My question is very much related to Senator White's question. Just wanted to get clarity around the number of persons that will make up the committee, the steering committee. I did note that it was specifically stated that a person from, I guess, the public or patient arena would be added. So I'm just wondering why it would be just one person. But also I would like to know what the total number of representatives from each group would be. I have a second question, if I'm okay to go ahead and ask.
Yes, please.
The second question is around prevention. That's very, very important to me. And I think that that is very key to helping us to improve our overall health outcomes. So there were a couple of initiatives that were mentioned. And I think that all of them are very, very important. But I would like to know what data has been obtained that guides our understanding of how impactful these initiatives are. I recognize that the HEARTS initiative is a pilot program, but certainly the CHIP program has been around for quite some time. And I do know that it's very popular, but popularity is not necessarily something that can be particularly impactful, and especially from a longitudinal point of view. So I would like to know what data do we have that speaks to the promotion of these programs, or the two in particular programs, that will translate into positive outcomes as it relates to our improving our healthcare outcomes. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Are there any other senators who would like to ask a question about this statement, universal health coverage? I don't see any other hands, so Senator Ariana Hudson, we would ask you if you can respond to the questions.
Madam Acting President, at this time, I'm still waiting for some clarity regarding the questions posed by Senator White and Senator Tucker. So we can, if you're willing, move on to the next statement and we can gather that information.
Okay, we'll come back if that's okay with. So the next statement is the role of the Labor Advisory Council and its functions. Are there any questions about that statement? I see Senator Robin Tucker.
Thank you, Madam Acting President. My question really is around, I think that this, it's a very positive step. My question is around the part of the statement that speaks to a number of concerns being received by the ministry from workers and members of the public pertaining to their unfair contractual terms. I would be interested to know exactly how many reports have been received, and how of those reports, of that number of reports received, how many actually translated into legitimate complaints?
Okay, thank you, Senator
Thank
Robin
you.
Tucker. Are there any other questions about the Labor Advisory Council statement? No, I don't see any other hands. This one is also in the name of Senator Ariana Hudson. Would you like to respond now to that question?
I actually don't have those numbers at this time. But just for clarity, you were wondering how many complaints have been filed and how many of those were legitimate?
Yes, so the statement says that if I may read it, the
Please.
statement says that the ministry has received a number of concerns from workers and members of the public pertaining to unfair contractual terms and employment contracts. So I'm interested to know what is a number of concerns. Is that 5 or is that 50? And also I'm wondering, as we're both in HR, so I mean, we certainly know that by the nature of people that there will be complaints, but not all of them will be legitimate complaints. So that's what I'm wondering. If there were 5 complaints, were there 4 that were legitimate concerns? So I hope that clarifies. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Senator Hudson?
Thank you for the clarification. I will just get some definite numbers, or at least a ballpark figure, so that we can go from there. Perfect.
Thank you. So let's keep moving, and we'll go to the 7th statement, which was Bermuda's participation in COP26. Are there any questions? Senator Robin Tucker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Acting President. My question is very basic. I think that the initiatives are wonderful. I think that it's great that Bermuda is being recognized for trying to do its part in helping to fight climate change and the initiatives that are in place. I'm just wondering whether there were any new or innovative initiatives that other overseas territories were doing that the minister who attended the COP26 conference, that he was able to identify and maybe bring home to consider for us. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Are there any other senators who would like to ask a question about the COP26 statement? I don't see any other questions. Senator Lindsay K. Simmons, would you like to respond?
If you give me a minute, Madam Acting President, I'll have an answer for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're just awaiting responses to questions about the last 3 statements. Hopefully they'll be forthcoming soon. In the interest of time, I suggest that we move on. If there are answers that are forthcoming, we can accept them as we proceed towards the end of the day.
Madam Acting President.
Good timing, Senator Lindsay Simmons.
Yeah, so we are gonna the minister took a lot of ideas from the Blue Shield program. Also, the UK government is gonna support the overseas territories' efforts, and also the territories together are gonna work together to help support each other with the initiatives of COP26. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Simmons. Is there a follow-up or supplementary? Senator Tucker?
Yes, thank you, Madam Acting President. Yeah, I just wanted to know, was there anything new that came out of the discussion, out of the conference that could translate back to the Bermuda environment? Anything specific that might be able to be discussed here and for the listening public to know about? Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Senator Simmons?
So I think one of them that I said is the UK government supporting us more, and also the territories working together to help with the initiatives of COP26. So I think working together in collaboration would help all territories. So I think that's something that's new, and it's something that we're excited to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Lindsay Simmons. Senator Hudson, you have some responses?
Well,
Thank
actually,
you.
Madam Acting President, I don't have the responses at this time, so I did want to make it clear that we would be reaching out to the Labor Relations Manager just to get an idea of the nature of the complaints, the legitimacy of them, and to give an idea of a ballpark number. But I will endeavor to have some responses for the questions related to my health statement.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. We're now moving on to orders of the day. There are none. The next item on the agenda is motions. There are none. And the next item on the agenda is congratulatory or obituary speeches. I see the hand of Senator Marcus Jones.
Thank you, Acting Madam President. I would like this chamber to extend condolences to the family of the late Mr. Brian Hall, who many in this community would consider him to be the godfather of captive insurance in Bermuda. He was a visionary figure in the international business world and was also a major promoter of talent in the island's pioneering captive insurance sector. He was a major supporter of education and created the Bermuda Foundation for Insurance Studies in 1996. He later became the chairman emeritus. Now, he was not born here in Bermuda, but he was born and raised in the UK and came here in the 50s, was hired within the industry and made an instant impact. He married his wife, Frankie June Hall, from Lynchburg, Virginia in 1963, and they had together 4 children. He definitely was a pioneer in this industry. He later became the chief executive and president of the Johnson & Higgins in 1979. I remember him very clearly because as a budding 22-year-old graduate from university, I came to Bermuda. That was my first job, working at Johnson & Higgins. And I was very much impressed with him because although this was a big, major company, he made it feel like a small company in that everybody was family. And I remember the first day that I was hired, I was told by my direct boss that I had to go up to the 6th floor and be introduced to Mr. Brian Hall. Of course, my knees were shaking. I was sweating profusely on my palms on my hands, and because I was going up to this 6th floor to meet this gentleman, and I found him very engaging, very down to earth. He made me feel like I was so important, and that can be the testimony of many that he hired back in those times. We also realize that he was appointed as Officer of the Order of the British Empire in 1998. He was also instrumental as one of the chairmen of the Bermuda College in the 1990s. So, Acting Madam President, I would like for condolences to be extended to his wife, his 4 children, because we have definitely lost a giant and a pioneer in the captive insurance business. And I'd like to also extend congratulations to our sister island to the south of us, the island of Barbados. We now realize that this island has now become a republic for the first time in its history. We know that it was made independent back in 1966, but it still held on to the colonial trappings of the United Kingdom. But we see that 3 decades later, they now have launched out and now have become a republic. The drive to become a republic began more than 2 decades ago and culminated with the island's parliament electing its first ever president last month in a 2/3 majority vote. Barbados Governor General Sandra Mason was sworn in before dawn on Tuesday as the island marked its 55th anniversary of independence from Britain. We also understand that the Prince Charles was there in attendance, and the famous celebrity Rihanna was made and was given accolades as she is from that island, and she was given high accolades as being someone from that island that had made an impact in the world. So, Acting Madam President, I just wanted us as a Senate chamber to be able to extend congratulations to Barbados in this auspicious event that they just experienced this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Marcus Jones. Is there anyone else? Senator Robin Tucker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Acting President. I would like to extend condolences to the family of Charles Teddy McDonald Napier Davis. Actually, Teddy is one of my cousins. So I would like to extend sincere condolences to my family, particularly Crumbug, Pinky, Joanne Meyer, and the entire family. I'm very excited to extend congratulations to Ryan Eve. Ryan Eve is a 29-year-old young man who has been a part of, we're not blood relatives, but we call each other twins because he is a family friend. I've known Ryan from the time he was tiny, and he is friends with my children as well. Ryan, if anybody knows him, is a remarkable, very balanced, very focused young man. He works for Argus. He is the son of Aubrey and Shelley Eve, and he was recently appointed to the position of Vice President of Broking at Centurion Insurance Services Limited, which is a subsidiary of the Argus Group Holdings. Ryan will be responsible for leading operations at Centurion. He is, as I said, 29 years old, and this is not his first promotion at Argus. He is a phenomenal young man. It's an excellent example of someone who is as young as he is, that can put his head down and do what he has to do and accomplish great things. So I just, again, want to say congratulations to Ryan on his most recent promotion. Thank you, Madam Acting President.
Thank you, Senator Tucker. Are there any other speakers? Senator Lindsay Simmons, I see your hand.
Yes, Madam President. I would like to extend condolences to Florence Patricia Bow's family. She's the daughter of the late Kenneth L. Simmons and Florence M. Bow. She's the mother of Damon Bow and his daughter-in-law, Shanette Bow. and Dudamar to Angel. I just want to give my deepest condolences as I met Miss Bow a few years back through her daughter-in-law Shanette, and she used to have cruises and donate proceeds to the Foster Parent Association. She was very given, and definitely every time she had something she wanted to give back. So I want to extend my condolences to her family. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Lindsay Simmons. Senator Olin Darrell.
Madam Acting President, thank you. I'd like to send, if the Senate can send, congratulations to Miss Ojada Smith. Senate may recall that about a year ago, I congratulated Miss Smith for starting a pupillage at Wakefield Quinn. Here we are just a little over a year later. I was pleased to be invited to and saw the subsequent news clippings that Ojada was called to the bar last Friday. So I know that it was a very exciting time for her. She named a list of people that, helped her to get to this lifelong dream of hers. I'd just like to also congratulate, her parents, Miss Lakeela Bell, and Mr. Ulrich Smith. I'd just like to say that I met Ojada again just over a year ago, as she lives in Smith South, or Napton Hill. So again, congratulations to Ojada. And I also saw many of her classmates, also from, I think it was BHS, were successful in being called to the bar over the last couple of weeks. So to everyone who is fulfilling all of their dreams, especially in the area of law, congratulations, and we hope to see good work from everyone in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Darrell. Minister Peets, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Madam Acting President. I was wondering if the Senate will be willing to join me in sending thanks to the Parliamentary Prayer Committee for organizing this year's Parliamentary Prayer Breakfast. I really felt encouraged, and it's certainly nice to know that there's a group of individuals who are dedicated to ensuring that our emotional and spiritual well-being, particularly for parliamentarians, are being taken care of. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Peets. Would any other senator like to speak? If no one else is going to, I will. I would like to ask the Senate to join me in extending condolences to the family of Nurse Elois Miners Bell. She was, I feel, an extraordinary person and an exceptional nurse who worked for many years at King Edward Memorial Hospital. I describe her as caring, compassionate, and someone who regularly went over and above her responsibilities to provide loving care to her patients. Our family benefited greatly from her service when my sister and I were caring for my mother. We will be forever grateful to her for what she did at that time. I'm thinking in particular of her daughter, Lakeisha, her granddaughter, Jaya, and her brothers, Arnold and Irving Miners. I would ask that we just send condolences to the family of an extraordinary nurse. And I would also like to join with the congratulations to the people of the Republic of Barbados. We recognize we have many Barbadians residing in Bermuda, Bermuda Barbadians or Barbadian Bermudians, and I'm sure they're feeling a lot of pride right now. I also would like to join with the condolences to the family of Patricia Bell. She's someone who I knew quite well. And one thing that always stood out about Pat was her gregarious nature. she drew people to her all the time. And I'm sure her family will appreciate knowing that we are thinking of them and extending our condolences. So we now move on to the adjournment. Minister Peets.
Yes, thank you, Acting Madam President. I make a motion that Senate do adjourn to Wednesday, December 8th.
Thank you. Would any senator wish to speak on the motion to adjourn? I don't see any hands. Therefore, the Senate stands adjourned until December